Cool. Welcome everybody to today's webinar. We're really excited to bring you a new feature of Bullhorn automation. So we're going to be covering off our chatbot today with a webinar that is essentially say hello to our chatbot, your 24/7 digital recruiter. We're really excited about this new feature. We think it brings a lot of value to customers. Pretty much everybody on this webinar is in a privileged position that they're going to be the first people externally from Bullhorn to see the chatbot. And as I said, we're really excited to bring it to market. We think it's got a great amount of value for our customers. Introducing you to our hosts. So I'm Liam Ryan, Product Marketing Manager for Automation and AI, and I'm going to be running through how we came to the decision of producing a chatbot and some of the market opportunities that are available with regards to the chatbot. And I'll let Ben introduce himself.
Yep, hi everyone, Ben Carter, Senior Director for Sales and Strategy, all relating to automation and AI here at Bullhorn. It's quite a long-winded job title, to be honest. There's a lot of words in there, but yeah, really looking forward to going through the session today. I'm going to hand over to Liam at the start, and Liam's going to take us through, from an industry perspective, what we're looking at, and then I'm going to jump into the session a little bit later and actually take us through the product so we can see what it's all about as well.
Perfect. Let's get going. Cool. So what actually is happening in the market? So some of you will be asking, why have Bullhorn added a chatbot? And this question can be answered by what's happening in the market. Some of you who joined the Omnichannel engagement webinar a few weeks ago will be familiar with some of this content before Ben goes into the chatbot and shows you that. But we feel it's important to cover the full story as to why we have the chatbot and obviously the full benefits of using something like a chatbot. So what is happening in the market? You might have heard following the challenges of COVID that we're currently experiencing a shortage of talent, and that's something that's being felt globally. Nobody out there is not feeling the talent shortage across the globe, and it's hard not to really know about this with all the media articles that we've got on the screen there. But what it actually means in terms of this talent shortage is that ultimately agencies need to work harder to not only attract talent, but also amplify the experience that talent has with them in order to maintain engagement. It's become more difficult to fill the same jobs as it was 2 to 3 years ago. And that's why an engaged talent pool, so a talent pool that you can rely on as active candidates is important. And that type of talent pool is highly receptive to you. They're interested in what you have to say in terms of things like educational content, but most importantly, they're happy to refer you to others. And a highly engaged talent pool brings huge benefits to your agency. It means less dropouts in the hiring process, reduced time to fill. It means more referrals and more redeployment. And finally, it means more placements. So it's really critical that we use an engaged talent pool as a way to combat what's happening in the market. What are candidates currently feeling in the market? Well, the good news is that candidates want to work with recruiters. They like human interaction and they like the consultative guidance provided to them as part of their job search. But in reference to the previous slide, they are craving a better experience, and this results in a lack of engagement. So 50% have given up because the process just took too long. 43% said poor communication is a primary reason for poor experience, and 93% of freelance workers prefer working on digital platforms purely because they're easier. From this, there is a clear opportunity for agencies to provide the experience that candidates crave, and those that do have the potential for rapid growth. It's when times are hard that those react best rise to the top and use it as an opportunity to break into new ground. So staggering stats there in terms of, we've got this talent shortage, but candidates are clear that they want a better experience from agencies, but they still want to work with agencies, and that's the most important thing. So your strategy must account for changes in workforce dynamics. And why do we have this omnichannel concept that's sort of come to fruition? So we've covered the market conditions and we've covered that candidate experience is a critical factor in success. But you can see from this slide here, there's significant changes happening in workforce dynamics. Now, we now have a talent pool made up of 4 demographics, each of their own preferences, motivations, traits, and perspectives. But how can we meet all of their expectations? That's the big challenge for us. And some of you might say, well, we only deal with 1 or 2 demographics from this list. Potentially, maybe it might be the older categories. But this talent pool brings a new opportunity to diversify and bring in new revenue, you need to be working across the entire demographics in order to have best chance of filling your roles. And more importantly, on that point, you need to be thinking about the future as well. As time moves on, the younger generations become more prominent in the talent pool. So for example, millennials already make up 40%. And soon enough, Generation Z will be making up a significant percentage as well. And you'll be left with 3 demographics that cover the full spectrum of communication. And what we mean by omnichannel is that ability to communicate through the preferences of the talent pool. And as you can see, it's vast and wide in terms of those options. It could be face-to-face, it could be email, SMS, digital, social, whatever is easiest. They're all things that we need to think about as part of our engagement strategy. And it's why an omni-channel engagement strategy is crucial in today's market to be successful. And in reference to my question earlier, why have we added a chatbot to offer? And essentially, we've done that to offer a digital arm to the omni-channel experience that Bullhorn provides. So what we want to get clear with omni-channel communication is that we mean omni-channel and not multi-channel. There's an important distinction here. And you may be thinking, in reference to the other slides, that you already offer some level of communication preferences. So you already might be using email, you might be using SMS, you might be using surveys. But the important factor with omni-channel is that each communication method is synced as part of the cohesive experience. You want your communication to feel like an all-in-one seamless engagement experience for your clients and your candidates. And this way, you meet the expectations and preferences of the talent pool whilst providing exceptional experience at all times. The thing that sets people apart or sets those that win in the current market conditions is a synced together, streamlined communication experience with data that flows back to a single source of truth in your ATS. So whilst you might already use some of these items, are they synced together? Are they working together as part of a great communication experience? And are they all definitely synced back to your ATS or your data points to ensure that your candidate and your client data is as clean as it possibly can be? And it's really important to do so. It's a difference between a poor experience and a great one. You can avoid things like duplication, messages going out through two different avenues with the same message to the candidate or client. It avoids being heavily robotic. So if you've got multiple different communication methods, automation and fear of adoption of automation can be that we come across as too robotic as an agency. Things like a chatbot and digital experience bring personality to your communication strategy and help to avoid that. And then finally, disparate systems. Again, key thing with disparate systems is that they're not working together. You don't have control over what data is flowing to and from your ATS, and an omni-channel strategy and an omni-channel experience that we can provide through Bullhorn Automation solve this for you. So that's a sort of prelib up to the chatbot demonstration that Ben's going to cover off. I'll now pass you on to him, and yeah, he can cover off the chatbot.
Thanks, Liam. Yeah, so I'm going to take us through just a few more slides before we get into product. This is really just going to help us really understand some of the features and capability that the chatbot's going to have for you. A couple of things to call out. One is this technology is actually already embedded into any Bullhorn Automation customer's tech stack. So if you've already got Bullhorn Automation and you've got the enterprise version, then it means that this is going to turn on for you automatically. You're going to get reached out to us. So any customers already on here, there's no real heavy uplift that you have to do in terms of integrating another layer into your website, for example. As you can see on screen is an example of what that chatbot would look like sitting on your website. If you're already utilizing surveys today, then this will just become another element of that. And another thing is, this is not only just going to be embedded into a website, but if you are using this on a mobile device, so if a candidate chooses to live a more digital mobile world, then when they open these chats, they'll also engage in this full screen as well. But it's always going to be over your website. So every time someone finishes engaging with you, they're going to be left exactly where you need them to be in order to convert them. So it could be your homepage if they're just landing and you want to engage with them for the first time, or it could even be that you are doing some kind of campaign. So if I jump onto the next slide here, think about creating these digital experiences. Lead capture is that first one, right? So that's where people are going to come in and they're going to hit your website for the first time, and you can start to capture information off them. It may be that you're running a campaign like refreshing data. So in that itself, then it will be where they're answering direct questions relating to a set of chat questions that you've created in there. It may be application related. So someone's applied on your website or through a job board, they've made it onto Bullhorn. Bullhorn automation can now trigger off this engagement, and they can start to engage in these knockout or pre-screen questions via the chat as well. It may be a check-in. So let's say that maybe a candidate needs to provide a day one check-in, so they can engage with the chatbot as part of the welcome pack or email communication that they get from you as a business. And then that engagement can notify you that they're on day one, everything's good, you can get that invoice out the door. We can do things like feedback, so whether that be general feedback or NPS style feedback, we can do that at any time through here as well. And the kind of list goes on, but the last example I've kind of used here is maybe from a referral perspective. So you've got some happy candidates or contractors that are currently working for you or have recently been placed by you. There's no better time to keep them engaged and maybe get some referrals off them, get some feedback along the way as well, and making sure that they're having an incredible experience so they'll keep coming back to you time and time again as well. But all of this will be resulting in more touch points for your candidate and your clients to engage with your business more. That's fundamental. It can also be your 24-hour recruiter as well. As we know, candidates can sometimes need to reach out with someone urgently, or will need to get in contact with someone, but the recruiter's not always going to be available. As a business, as an organization, we're always driving towards removing the direct recruiter and candidate relationship with WhatsApp messages. You should really have your own text messaging strategy in there where you're owning the conversations and that information stays with you when people move on, but also an ability for a candidate to be able to engage any time of the day. So whether that be some kind of contractor care. So let's say a contractor, 4 a.m. the day they're about to start, they may have a young child and they're ill, they need to take them into hospital or they need to get them to see a doctor. Well, this is where they can engage with that chat and bubble up that information to the team, not necessarily to the recruiter, just to make sure that everyone's aware that that person may not be starting on that day. So just making sure that that's always available to them 24 hours a day. It's all about creating that winning impression and making sure that the service is exceptional from day one. Everyone wants to provide that white glove treatment to all of their candidates. Well, this is where automation, and especially from an omnichannel experience perspective, we can really make sure we're doing that white glove experience for them and it always get communicated to, or now even have the ability to communicate through as well. And this isn't just candidate, right? This is from a client service as well. So it's about making sure that number one, we're creating a great impression for anyone that's going to be working at a client. But two, clients can also engage with these as well. So it's about making sure that we can keep those great working relationships available and on demand at any time of the day as well. So there's 3 types of chatbot engagement when we kind of whittle this down. So the first one is active. So that's a chat that's designed for a more direct engagement by a person clicking on a call to action. So let's say a candidate receives a text message or an email from Bullhorn Automation. The call to action there could be something like go view the website, go check out jobs, but it could also be click this button and engage with the chatbot directly. So we talk about the knockout questions, we talk about the NPS feedback, we talk about candidate refresh campaigns. This is where they're going to click it and it's going to directly open that specific chat on whichever web page you want. And from there, they'll be able to interact, complete, and then close that off. The second one is passive. So this is where there's still a call to action in place, like checking out a job or blog article on the website, but now the chat isn't so active. So in this point, it's still going to pop up in the corner, but the context of this chat is going to be more around just making sure that if there's anything they need help with, then the candidate or the client, whoever's visiting, can still engage with that chatbot. So I've got a couple of examples about how we can use that as part of the demo today, but another one there could be something like an FAQ, for example, where maybe a candidate has landed and they want to maybe read up some more information about how the process works or what the onboarding process is like for this candidate to start working, or how often is the payroll going to be run, or what's the timesheet process. All of that information can be baked into an FAQ chat where you can provide all that information on the fly to anyone that's visiting that you know has visited your site from a call to action. The third type is where they're visiting the site organically. So this is where you're doing a Google ad campaign and they've landed on your site based on a Google search. Maybe they've never been to your site before. It's the first time they're visiting. So this is really where this chat is designed as a generic chat for every unknown user. So this is where we're going to do more lead gen, top of the funnel type activity and make sure we can capture this visitor's information and maybe convert them, whether that be a candidate or a client. And I'm going to show that as part of an example as well. So let's talk about some key features. So branding, we can make sure that the color scheme and the name of the chatbot, you can call it whatever you want. The color schemes are going to match your website because that's where it's going to live. It's going to overlay there. So we've got a couple of examples here where maybe you've got a blue style, a yellow style, or a green style. You can change your name. You can show an icon, not show an icon. So all of this can all feel seamless within the experience that they're using on your website and to do with your brand. From a keyword branching perspective, this is actually a new feature. This was just deployed to customers that are using surveys today, but we can now do keyword branching based off of free text rather than it have to be off of canned questions or canned answers. So rather than a yes/no response where they have one of two buttons to click, or if I actually go back a page, you can see we've kind of got these canned answers where they can click on one in order to do it. Well, rather than that, if them just free typing in any response here means you can also branch and change the experience they're going through. So an example of this could potentially be if there's a job title that you're capturing as part of a refresh, and all of a sudden they now have director or vice president or senior SVP or SVP, all of those scenarios or those synonyms, well, now you can build out different journeys based on the response they're giving. So that just gives you much more freedom to really tailor the experience that they're going through and the types of questions that they're going through as they go. So I'm going to take us through a quick example on screen. So this is what a chat workflow looks like, exactly the same as surveys for anyone that has Bullhorn automation, or for anyone that's received a demo. This is very much the standard user interface of how you lay everything out in your automations and your engagements. But this is an example where we're going to ask a simple text-based question. Pick a number between 1 and 10, and someone's going to type an answer in here. But if it's between 1 and 6, then it's going to drop down to a statement of saying it was too low. If it's 8, 9, or 10, then maybe we can say it's too high. If it's default, what that means is if they give any other answer outside of the ones we programmed, then actually it's not a number between 1 and 10 at all. But then we've got the is 7, which means they get a well done. So we can really dig into that and tailor this as well. So you can have contains, does not contains, is or is not, or starts with. So you can really start to define your synonyms or your dictionaries around how you want to branch this out based on the type of question you ask and the expected answers you're going to get. Next one, the third feature, this is jump to chat. So this is where you can remove the need to ever repeat a set of questions again by seamlessly jumping from one chat flow to another based on logic. So as a candidate, let's actually bring up this again just as an example. So if we just add a step to this default branch on the right hand side, this is where if they do answer in this really obscure way where it's not between 1 and 10, then maybe we want to jump out and just speak to a recruiter. So in this case, what we're doing is we're actually just defining where we're going to end this chat and we're going to start a whole nother chat. But to the candidate, this will be seamless. All they will do is when they click it, they'll just see the first question of the next chat that loaded. This is also available in surveys as well. Again, for current customers or anyone wondering if this is a feature just for chat, this is available for surveys as well. But it means that you never have to repeat a set of questions. For the European and the UK people that are dialed into this, think about GDPR here. Every time you've got a set of questions around consent in order to capture information, well, you don't have to keep repeating those questions in every chat you build. If you want to capture that, you can jump out to that at any point you need to as well. The fourth one, so this relates to actually the example I was just showing, where if we do want to speak to a recruiter, we now have the ability of recruiter handoff. So we can trigger the start of a text message conversation via Bullhorn messaging in real time with either their recruiter or their owner or any other logic that we use in the system to identify who the suitable person is. But fundamentally, what this one means is we can add a step now called send text, and we can now program what that text message is. So that very top section where we see the box with text in, that's going to be the instruction to make sure that the candidate is following the call to action, which is to sanity check their telephone number and make sure it's correct before they submit it. Once they've submitted it, then the SMS that goes out, you can set that up as well. But what's actually going to happen if you look at the very bottom area is we've defined who should be sending that SMS. So is it the generic business number? Is it the candidate owner? Is it the person that created the last note against that candidate? If candidate ownership isn't something you do, is it the job owner? Is it the placement owner? All of this logic is available for you to be able to hand off to the most relevant person possible, and at which point they can then start that conversation. So now this candidate will receive an immediate text message from the known person to start that conversation. So they can finish having a conversation in chat and they can pick this up in SMS. But this also means now that as they're typing, the recruiter can directly respond back to them. Anyone who's not sure what Bullhorn messaging is, Fundamentally, it's the platform that we have to provide SMS capability, where it's going to be available when looking at Bullhorn. It's available in its own web browser, and it's also available via a mobile app as well. So even if your recruiter isn't in the office that day, maybe they are in a hybrid world, or they're traveling back from a meeting, they can still get real-time notifications that this message has come in, and they can continue this conversation while on the move as well. But again, you're owning that full front-to-back conversation. This isn't something that's happening via their personal WhatsApp account or via their personal mobile number where they're SMSing with there. And then lastly, let's talk about AI auto match or AI job match. So this is only available in English language, and that's pretty common knowledge at the moment. But we can now actually introduce a step in chat where if a candidate wants to, they can actually request to see matching jobs for them as well. So at which point the system can use the AI job match function that people are using today in terms of email communications, etc. And we can now display 5, 10, 15 jobs that are the most highest match for them, where they can just click them, takes them to the job ad, and they can apply for that if need be as well. So I'm going to show that as an element of the demonstration as well. But just to show how we add that one, so let's just go back to our original workflow. Let's add that step. So now maybe for guessing that correct number of number 7, well, their prize is they're going to unlock 5 new jobs for them for what they're suitable for. So this is a bit fictitious, it's a bit fun in terms of an example. I'm going to take us through a more real world example in a moment, but it's just a display job step that's here where you can really drive in and start to unlock the AI power of the platform as well and serve this information up real time. So with that, I'm going to jump into the demonstration. We're going to continue with the 3 scenarios that we spoke about, and I'll show you an example of each of these. So the first one is all about that active chatbot engagement. So in this case, we've outreached to a candidate for them to update their data. So let's say that James has received this email from us. He may have been on our database for a couple of years now, but he hasn't been very active in the last 6 or 9 months. Well, the good news is recruiters aren't finding him and aren't grabbing him, but Bullhorn Automation can identify this subset of your database, as in like the most inactive set of this, and we can start to automate these outreaches and start to make sure that it's right. It's only going to take a couple of minutes for James to really go find that next Java developer role, and he's got a clear call to action there, update their information. So with that, I'm going to jump over to the website. So James clicks on that email and he lands on the website. I'm actually going to reload the page just to let that chat pop up and just reload again. But fundamentally, we've sent them to the agency's brand. So this will be your website. It overlays in the same color scheme and the correct naming convention. But now this has popped up. And first of all, we know who this person is. So we can engage personally. Hi, James. I'm AcmeBot. And I can help you update your information with a few simple questions. Let's get started with some basics. We have you listed as preferring contracting type work. Is this still the case? Well, as an example of branching, if I was to say no, then what we're going to do is qualify what type of work they are actually looking for. So we can now just verify, is it daily shift work? Is it permanent? Is it contract? All of this is programmable. You can set these any way you want in terms of questions and answers. But in this case, I've got these options. But from a branching perspective, if I just roll back to the previous question, and this time I say yes, well, we're not going to ask that question now. So we're going to move on to the next one. So that's great. Are you still based in London? I'm just going to say yes to this, and we continue going. But what you can see is we've given the chat kind of personality as well. It says things like great or fantastic. So you can actually build this persona into this as you go. It doesn't just have to be black and white or binary question, answer. It can be as enthusiastic or as personality driven as you want as well. So when are you next available to start your new role? Well, one thing we've seen with many chatbots out there, and one of the things that really drives poor data quality, is if someone was to free text a date in here, we have no idea if they've even done it correctly. So we have no way of flowing this information back to Bullhorn automatically. And when I say Bullhorn, that could be Bullhorn native or that could be Bullhorn for Salesforce. When I talk about Bullhorn, it's whichever front office you're using. But fundamentally here, rather than allowing the candidate to create poor data quality, we can improve that. So we give them a calendar picker as well. So in this case, they may be available from the end of the month, and we can just continue. Next question is going to come up. So that's great. What's your latest job title? So this is one where they do have to free text it. Now I could have actually merge tagged in their current job title and said, we see you're a Java developer. Is this still your job title? And then maybe they could have said, no, I'm now a senior Java developer. So congratulations to James. He's had a promotion. But now this information again can flow back straight to that job title in Bullhorn. So we're improving all of this information. And then lastly, we can actually still capture CVs as part of this as well. So in this case, it may be, do you have an up-to-date CV you can share with us? If it's no, we'll just continue. It's not a problem. Blue collar workers, anyone that's in light industrial, for example, maybe they don't have CVs. Maybe that's not how they operate. So they can get past this. But if they do have a CV, now if this was a mobile phone, this would just browse your phone's file management system. It'll give you the ability to take a photo or pick a photo, anything like that. Because I'm on a desktop, I'm just going to say yes, and at which point now this becomes a dynamic upload button. So I can click straight in here, I can go straight to sample documents, let's go to CVs, and let's grab James's CV. So perfect, that's uploading. That's going to get pushed straight back to the Bullhorn parser. So not only have we captured this information at the field level, but we've now reparsed a new CV in as well, which means it's searchable. The description's been updated on the record. All of this will get indexed so they'll be found on more searches as well. So lastly, first of all, let's make sure that we can connect to the right person. So by doing their calculations, it looks like Ben Carter is your assigned recruiter. I would ensure they receive this update immediately. Is there anything else we can help you with today? So actually, this is a good opportunity to use branching again to say, yeah, let's see some options. So this could be that scenario where, what would you like to do? Maybe let's speak to a recruiter. Let's see those auto job matches, or maybe let's check out that FAQ. So any of these could be an option for you. I'm actually going to bounce back and just say, do you know what? I'm good, because I'm going to cover those off in the next example in a moment. And that's it. We should be done. That's all complete. So that's the first chatbot done. That's very much the active, where you're driving someone to 100% engage with just the chat. That's the sole purpose for them being there to start with. But again, you're left on the website. So that means that if this was a job page, maybe I'd load this on the Java developer search page. So knowing that he's a Java developer, maybe I could just land it straight on that as the URL, which means that now, as soon as James is done, he's seeing all the Java developer pages that are in here. So that's another way we can do this dynamically and make sure that they're engaging correctly. So let's take us into scenario number 2, because I know we're tight on time today. This is a passive engagement. So again, the candidate is on our site viewing jobs from a recent email campaign. Well, it could also be, actually, because we always want to create a positive candidate experience, this may be a rejection notice. So we're doing that by actually rejecting and communicating to James. So thank you for your recent interest in the Java developer role. Unfortunately, there was high volume of the candidates that were interested, and another one was successfully hired. But it's not all bad news. There's 3 job links here using the AI auto match, where we can actually identify other jobs that James would be good for. So in this case, what we've done is we've now said to James, bad news, but go check out some more jobs on our website. So James now clicks on that senior Java developer and he lands on the website. So again, I'm just going to reload just so you can see it load up in the corner. But James has now landed on this. He's checking out the job. And now what we've got is a more passive chat. So hi, James. Thanks for visiting today. I'm AcmeBot. If it's the first time you've seen me, is there anything I can help you with? So there's no real call to action here for James to actually have to engage with his chatbot, but it's here and it's ready to help should James want to know more. So maybe he's checked out the job and, do you know what, it's good, but it wasn't the best one for me, and something's not suitable about it. Well, that's fine. I've got some other options here. So maybe the first thing I'm going to do is actually I'm going to speak to my recruiter. So this is great, finding you the right person. Okay, it looks like your current recruiter is Ben Carter. So that's based on ownership back in Bullhorn, so we know what that is. Would you like them to call or text? Now, if this was a call option, then that would be great. And what we'll do is just validate telephone numbers and make sure it's still the best one to contact on. And if not, capture that new number. But I'm going to back out of that because from a recruiter handoff perspective, we can actually do text as well. So what this is going to do, and ignore this test, it's just because we're in a test environment and this isn't a real world automation. But what we're going to do is, although we already have your number, could you please confirm it? Well, as I'm in the UK, but I'm using an American demo environment, I'm just going to make sure that it delivers. So I'm going to put an international code on there. I'm going to submit that up. We're going to validate that telephone number works. And as soon as it is, now we're going to start to receive text messages from Ben Carter. So that's kind of complete at this point. So at which point my wristwatch is now going nuts and my phone's going crazy because I'm receiving text messages. But that's another option that we had. Now there's a couple of other options we had if I just roll back as well. We could find jobs. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to invoke the AI job auto match. And in this case, what this is going to do is it's going to identify the top 5. So as you know, as you just saw, James is actually an American candidate. He's based in Boston. So it's found 5 jobs in the surrounding area, all based on Java developer. I know I put senior Java developer in the last chat, but we didn't actually submit that back to Bullhorn, so at which point we've not really updated and refreshed this search. But fundamentally, we've identified the 5 best jobs. And then if they click on any of these, it's going to create the call to action to go and open up that job and check it out on the website. So again, it's converting more options that even though this one wasn't suitable, there may be more here as well. And then the third one, and this is that candidate refresh style again. So this is not following on from the one we just did. Maybe this is another year down the road or another 6 months down the road, but maybe it's some time for James to actually update his information. So in this one, what we're doing is we're actually seamlessly going to skip out or jump out to another chat where this one's set up with all of the refresh questions for any chat engagement that we ever work with. So are you currently are you currently looking for a new role? Yes. Are you available now? And if I say no, then now I'm going to start capturing that available date, etc. So I'm not going to complete this. We've already seen what this type of chat looks like, but this is more the passive one where you can really engage with people in a more passive way, and it's more information or ability for them to help themselves along the way while on the website as well. We've actually got it on a mobile experience as well. So just to show you what that would look like. So if I was to say find jobs, then just loading up on a mobile, it's going to be full screen so they can really engage this all the way through as well. So before I go on to the third one, just to remind everyone, I can see a few questions in the Q&A panel. Please don't forget to feed questions in as we're going through. We're going to hit these pretty soon after the demo. But this third one is going to be the unknown candidate finds our website via Google Ads and maybe hits a landing page. So in this case, we've got the website, right? So this is going to be, hi, I'm AcmeBot. What brings you to the website today? So we don't actually know who this person is now. At this point, this is just a visitor that's just landing for the first time ever. And actually, it's not just on the homepage that we see these. So if I just go to testing myself here to make sure, no, that's not the right page. I thought we had a page set up for warehouse jobs. But what we're seeing here is anyone can, when anyone lands, we have a more non-direct chatbot pop-up. So in this case, it's just a little message that says, hi, welcome, how can I help you? So we're not in their face when they're landing for the first time, but as they click and engage with this, what you're now going to see is this one is going to be very much, we don't know who they are. We can't say hi James in this case, but we can introduce ourselves as the bot. And then what brings you to Acme Recruiters today? And then this is where we can start to qualify them. So that first qualifying question is going to be, what are you looking for? Are you looking for work or are you looking to hire somebody? So this is either going to be, are you a potential candidate lead or are you a potential contact lead? If we think about the way that Bullhorn's structured. So if I just go to looking for work first, well, this is where we can start to qualify some of this information. What type of work are you looking for? So I'm just going to say permanent. And we can start to ask some perm-centric. Are you available to start now? I'll just say yes. What's your current job title? Java developer. That's great. And then we can continue and qualify this through as we go. But as I start to roll back, what I'm going to do is just change this to, rather than looking for work, let's say we're a potential contact. So looking to hire somebody. So now this set of questions is going to be very different. And maybe we're a bit more professional with this one. That's great. I can certainly help with that. Here's a few questions. Firstly, what's your name? So now, maybe I'm a hiring manager. So my name's Sean Phillips. What company are you working for? I'm working at Uber. What's the job title of the role you're looking for? So now what we're doing is we're starting to qualify this lead coming in, and we can start to capture the right information as we go. So this is for a contract role. What country are they based in? I'll say the United States. And in which location? I'll just say Boston because it's been consistent in a demo. And lastly, when do you need them to start? And we can still grab that potential start date. So now not only are we grabbing the person as a lead, we're grabbing the information as an opportunity as well. So how would you like someone to contact you? Well, I'm going to say a call. And in this case, we can just give that telephone number. So 555-121-2121. That's it. Telephone number's in. That's it. Someone will be with you shortly. So this is where this is more of a lead gen, top of the funnel style engagement, where even net new visitors coming for the first time, we've still got this ability in order to grab this information and get it in. Now the output of this chat or any other chat is the ones where it's connected and we know who they are. We can flow information directly back to that person. The ones where it's more related to a where it's more related to a unknown person, we don't auto create records in Bullhorn. That's something that we're looking at future state as iterations of Bullhorn automation goes. But for now, what you can do is you can output these straight to an email notification. So every time this is filled in, an email notification can go out the door. You can aim it at your BDR team, you can aim it at your recruitment team, or anything like that. So as these are being filled out, someone can jump on this immediately and make sure that they can start qualifying these leads and convert them into opportunities as well. And with that, Liam, I am going to wrap up on a demo, and I think we should jump into Q&A. And you're on mute.
Sorry, in a word, wow. I'm hoping that everybody feels the same as us in terms of the excitement for the chatbot and how great it can be from a value perspective. But yeah, as Ben says, let's get into some Q&A. We've got a lot of questions so far, and yeah, let's get cracking. So how can we get the chatbot, and is there an additional cost? So as Ben alluded to throughout that, the chatbot's going to be part of the Bullhorn Automation Enterprise Edition. And as part of that edition, we are so committed to the omnichannel experience and how important the omnichannel engagement strategy is for our customers to be successful, that we will not be charging additionally for the chatbot. It comes as part of the Bullhorn Automation Enterprise Edition. So anybody that doesn't have that edition will need to obviously upgrade, and those that do have that will receive notifications with training and all that sort of stuff as we release it at the end of this month. So part of the Bullhorn Automation Enterprise Edition, but no specific additional charge for the chatbot itself.
Nice. I've got one I want to hit here. It's a bit of a technical one, but it's a bit of a technical one, but we can hit this one. So some people are both recruiting managers or clients and candidates. If they visit the website, how does the bot know which one they are? So actually, that's all down to the way that Bullhorn automation works, because when an automation runs, it's either going to be running over the contact record or over the candidate record. So we're always going to know whether we're going to invoke a candidate or a contact-based chat at the same time. So you'll build those out simultaneously, where if it's someone lands on your website passively and it's a contact, that's a separate passive chat than if it's a candidate. So we can very much separate out those workflows so that you can always make sure that you're getting the right questions to the right people based on the reason why you sent them to the site in the first place.
There's quite a few questions we could join together in terms of functionality. So does the chatbot have to overlay on a Bullhorn career site, or could we have it on a Phenom career site?
So we can the same way it works when it comes to the survey element of any Bullhorn automation integration. As long as you have the ability to get to the source code of the website to drop our basic little JavaScript code, which any web developer can put in, it just sits in the header. If you've got the ability for us to be able to inject that code, then we can overlay any chat or pop up on there. So if you own the code of the site, it will work. If you're buying a service where you don't own the code or you can't get to the code, then we can't overlay on there unless you can get us access.
Cool. Can we have an actual picture in place of the bot picture?
Not in this version. So that little bot icon is just the icon that's available today. That's already been fed back to us from early adopters and internal processes where we've been identifying that. So it's a feature we're looking to add pretty soon if possible. But today the bot one is the only one that's there, but it at least follows a color scheme to make sure it's the right color as you go.
Cool. Is there an opportunity for a live person to monitor and converse with someone via the chat?
Liam, do you want to hit on recruiter handoff again, just to requalify that?
Yeah, no worries. So in terms of recruiter handoff, you've got the ability to initiate a SMS message conversation. So a text message will send to the recruiter to engage in an SMS conversation with that particular candidate. In terms of it being like a live chat, which is essentially what you're asking, we don't have the option to have it as a live chat in this scenario where a recruiter can type into the live chat, but they're effectively doing the same thing with regards to the SMS handoff. One thing I will say is that obviously for live chat, you need to have people manning that live chat. So it takes time out of somebody's day to be manning that chat and actually physically answering those questions other than a chat bot. And most of the live chat platforms out there are between sort of 15 to 50 pounds per user per month for offering obviously live chat type services, which is usually around support services and that type of thing. Chatbot does 95% of what a live chat will do, other than doing that live answering. And it obviously has much more value from a recruitment perspective in terms of it takes that time away from the recruiter so they can focus on things of value rather than sitting on there all day answering chats. So hope that helps. And obviously there isn't an additional charge to a chatbot rather than live chat. You would have that additional charge.
Cool. I hope you get your breath back. I found a good question here that I think everyone should know. If someone engages with a chatbot and they have a record in Bullhorn, does that automatically log a note? So that's part one of the question. The answer is if you want it to log a note against that record, it's a checkbox in that setting, so you can have it log a note with that engagement that's there or not. But for anyone that's actually using Bullhorn automation, on every candidate record, there's also an automation tab where you see an activity history of everything. So you can also see it there if that's where you want to see it as well. How do you get notified when a candidate is engaging with a chatbot? Again, that all depends if you want to notify the owner of the record or if you want to have an outcome at the end of, say, a day of here's a roundup of everyone that's engaged with a chat in this day. It's completely flexible in the way you want to set that up. So you can have a real-time notification go to the owner of the record, for example, or you can have a notification go to like a canned email address, maybe it's a group of people, or you can have roundup emails daily or weekly that has a list of everyone that's engaged. But don't forget, we can also trigger automation off the back of this as well. So maybe it's not just about the fact that the candidate's engaged with it. Maybe you want to change the status of that candidate from passive because they've not been engaged with for 9 months back to active or available based on the information that you catch. So there's so many other things that daisy chain off of a chat engagement. It's not just about making sure a note goes in Bullhorn as well.
So a couple of questions with regards to the SMS handoff. So if we don't have Bullhorn SMS, then will you not have access to the SMS handoff? The answer is that Bullhorn Automation Enterprise Edition includes Bullhorn messaging. So every user has a Bullhorn messaging account and an allocation of SMS. So through actually adopting Automation Enterprise Edition, you will have access to the relevant texting requirements or SMS requirements to be able to do that handoff. There's another question around costs of SMS. So Bullhorn Automation Enterprise includes a phone number and a messaging allocation for each user. You will only be charged for SMS if you go over that allocation. Please reach out to your account manager if you do need to either upgrade to Enterprise Edition or purchase additional SMS buckets based on your usage.
Okay, so I've got a really good question here. What type of reporting or dashboards are available to track responses, NPS scores, feedback, etc.? So what I would recommend is actually reach out to your account rep or your account manager and actually ask for a demo of Bullhorn automation as a whole. There's a huge plethora of different metrics you can see depending on how granular you want to get. So there's a dashboard where you can see the company-wide NPS score. There's individual surveys. So if you've got an individual NPS survey or chat, you can see a breakdown of all of the responses there as well. You can export all of that information as well as graphics, and you can either embed that into your internal reporting, or you can actually output some of the information you capture back with graphics and create content to share out to these people that respond as well. So if it's a market survey that they're answering, well, the graphs that are generated in here, a lot of our customers reuse those as the market survey shared PDF at the end of that process. So there's a lot of different ways you can analyze this data and make sure that you can see it all. It just depends on what layer you want to be in.
Cool.
Conscious of time, we've still got a lot of questions here. I don't think we're going to hit all of them. So, Liam, should we go for one more each that looks like as if it's high value?
Yeah, go for it. Do you want to tackle the customizations question? I think it's critical to get across whether customers can customize the chatbot questions themselves, or are they canned answers?
Yeah, so what you saw in the screenshots I was actually sharing early on is you just click the plus button and you can create your own questions. Now, there's going to be an element of blueprints out the box that's going to get you started. So there's going to be some basic industry standard chatbots that we think every customer should be using, at least as a template, even if you don't keep those as all the questions and add your own. But this system is 100% self-service. You never have to reach out to us in order to build any questions, change any chatbot workflows that you've got, change your color schemes or anything like that, or what page it lands on. Everything is self-service through Clicks Not Code in the platform, and the questions you can set as many or as little as you want and define what type of answers you receive back, and define if it flows back to Bullhorn real time to the field, or if you just have that notification come out every time someone's completed that.
Cool, perfect. I've had a number of questions around what editions people are on. It's probably a good way to wrap up the questions is please reach out to your account manager for any additional questions with regards to commercials. They'll certainly be able to point you in the right direction and help you. The chatbot is going to be available at the end of this month. It's being released at the end of this month, and obviously we will stagger those that are already on the Enterprise Edition of Bullhorn Automation. So again, reach out to your account manager. They'll be able to help you on when you'll have access and give you initial guidance on how to use it and how to set it up. But for anybody else, please reach out, get a demonstration of Bullhorn automation, and get and obviously a one-to-one demo of the chatbot. A lot of value in it. Hope everybody's enjoyed the session, found it useful. Any questions that we haven't obviously answered live now, we will endeavour to answer those questions, get back to you. But if you want any more information on Bullhorn automation in the meantime, please scan the QR code there, and it'll take you to the Bullhorn automation page on our website, and I'll give you a whole plethora of different bits of information, not just on the chatbot, but there is a section on the chatbot itself as well. And finally, thank you for joining. As I said, we're really excited about the chatbot and the value it brings to our customers as part of that omni-channel strategy. We hope you do too. We look forward to hearing your feedback on how you're using it and how you're finding it. I've been Liam Ryan, and great to speak to everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.